jab, uppercut, leave you laid out on the floor. Try to duck and roll, hit and miss, now you counting stars. Should've practiced more, should've hit the mask, get out there more. Claim that you're the best. You gotta show me, son. Actions over words, baby boy. Is you real or what? Talking way too much, world combat sports. Talking way too much, world combat sports. Talking way too much, world combat sports.
Yo, shout out to the hottest chat in the MFing game. A-side official. No negotiations needed, period. You already know WCS is back in the building. Shout out to everyone who's on deck. You already know what it is. I have some topics to speak on. As always, I have specific topics. It's just a general conversation. It's not to take any type of, you know how they spring load, you know how they pull back the bowstring and they want to send those arrows down range and the tip is lit. Well, I'm not trying to send you any burning arrows, but I can send some that has something else on the tip, that poison, that true poison. You know what I'm saying? There's opinionated poison. We definitely going to talk about how individuals continue to speak on Crawford and Spence, and Crawford being on SNAC and him getting away with possibly being dirty, because they have this narrative that is floating around here. Dirty water. I'm talking about dirty water. I can't even say this is damn coming from a residential freaking sewer system. You know how some freaking residents have septic tanks. This is more dirtier than that. Because we really don't know everyone that's pissing on this particular situation. The reason why I'm connecting it to today's topic is because when it came to Brian Norman, people was up here swinging rackets. You know what I'm saying? And they couldn't get past 15 love. They kept serving outside the line, getting frustrated, cracking a racket on the ground. You know, acting like they were some tennis superstars or something. They was talking about Brian Norman's knockout of Jen Sasaki may be tainted. But then you hear people speaking about how Devin Haney has been so big in between fights. How it used to not be that way. But now, when it comes to the steroid picture based off Ryan Garcia and what happened to Devin Haney, I can understand the outrage. You know what I'm saying? I can understand why Team Haney went up there and filed what they filed and took action according to what they was doing. But my lack of clarity comes into play when the boxing fans want to accuse Crawford, who was on SNAC, and is playing or wearing two different masks. You have people out here saying that Victor Conte knows how to beat the system. Victor Conte's know how to do this. They go back to when Ryan Garcia said, "Oh, I was clean all the way up to this point. I point the finger at so and so for contaminating my test." Now Ryan has to wear that jacket around with people saying he was a dirty fighter when he stepped in there with Devin and this, that, and the other. It's really been extremely messy, to be honest. It's been so messy because the biggest win of Ryan's career was voided to a no contest, you know, in the good gracious and benefit of Team Haney. Because, like I said before, Devin Haney did everything he needed to do that night as a champion. He made weight and went in there and defended his title. He may not have won the performance appraisal based off the several knockdowns, But he did not sit up there and just go in there and lose everything. Like, if you really look at the fight, he won some rounds in there. He won several rounds in that fight, even against a fighter like Ryan Garcia, who has the more higher, we used to have the higher value, and I think he still does, as one of the higher prize fighter values in the sport of boxing. But we have to understand one thing. Devin Haney's on SNAC too. If you all are going to continue to cry and complain with Crawford heading into this Canelo fight, all because you want to blend in the SNAC that Crawford's taking to the Dirty Seven. It's no comparison. It's no freaking comparison. You know why? You know why it's no comparison? It's because these fighters that's over there, the Dirty Seven, they have popped dirty on the test. So it's about time that y'all unhook yourselves from that IV of lies, dishonesty, rhetoric, propaganda. Just pull it out your veins. Because there's no way that you're going to convince hardcore boxing fans that SNAC has this secret, clear, undetectable freaking supplement that causes fighters just go in there and have a heyday. First of all, one thing I can tell you about counting 1 through 7. It's extremely easy for those who didn't drop out of grade school, right? We can count 1 through 7 easily, right? Easy. So we can count the 7 easy. Why can't y'all count the 7 when it comes to the Dirty 7? They pop positive on the test. So what we have difficulty in counting is to say every SNAC fighter has won their fight since they signed up to SNAC. We cannot count 1 through 7 and say from the first fighter all the way up to the last fighter, every fight they stepped in there, they have won. Now, that's a dilemma that certain people have to take and adjudicate at a higher level. You know what I'm saying? It depends on how much time you want to spend on it. How much are you willing to advocate? How many people are you willing to gather? Is your reach that long or not? Because what's confusing, what you're doing is confusing the people. You keep on blending Ryan Garcia testing positive for ostarine, but now Devin Haney is facing Brian Norman Jr., who's never tested dirty for anything, but you all are attempting to place a stain on his record jacket, all because of his performance value. And it wasn't like he did something that was impossible. He went in there and did something that really shocked boxing. Why? Because boxing doesn't have a knockout like that all the time. So when you see somebody like Norman that has the momentum, he has the rocket boosters, he has that energy, he has those vapors behind him right now. You have these fans, I won't say they're Devin Haney fans, but they're somewhere around the proximity. They're trying to place a stain on this man talking about peds, right? But yet and still, when it came to Ryan Garcia and ostarine, you all were saying that the ostarine allowed for Ryan Garcia to have the much success that he did in the ring against Devin Haney. He was able to land all those punches. He was able to pull out the red pen and goddamn erase Devin Haney's memory from blocking those left hands. WCS tries without going through verbal acrobatics. I try to explain to people that steroids don't work like that. Performance enhancing drugs don't work like that. You can't say somebody was on ostarine, but yet you don't say it was a bad fight strategy of Devin Haney to have going in there against Ryan. You cannot leave out. And you know, boxing fans, they get clueless and more clueless all the freaking time. Of course, I'm not talking about all of them, but it's a group of them. You know what I'm saying? When you see a herd from afar and you walk up on it and you find out that's the kind of group you want to be in, what they do? They lower themselves, they put on the uniform, and they continue and they jump in there and do exactly what the herd of sheep are doing. They talk about the same shit. No way you can convince me that Ostarine hindered or expunged, omitted, erased Devin Haney's memory to know how to be defensively accountable. Am I right or wrong? Shout out to Blue Hustle in the building. Am I right or wrong? How can Ostarine extract the memory? Like Brian Norman extracted, somehow forced Jen Sasaki's thought process to be removed, at least about 2 months, which could be considered 8 weeks, right? But when it came down to Ryan Garcia in that ring, all I'm hearing and heard is that Ryan Garcia was on Ostarine, and it put extra mustard on his punches, and he was just super fast. But yet you say Devin won most of the rounds. Which one is it, yo? Now let's just take a TO. Let's just take a TO, goddammit. Which one is it? Cause man, if you really lean in too close, man, I don't know if any one of y'all have been in early childhood education, but you're gonna find a lot of these boxing fans with special needs. I'm telling you, they special needs selectively. They choose to, yo. 1 minute they say Ostarine gave Ryan Garcia all the power, all the quickness, the speed. But then when it comes to saying, okay, Devin Haney should have used a better strategy, you act as if it didn't have no effect on him because he still won most of the rounds. You're just speaking entirely on the knockdowns that happened within that fight, right? So if you take full accountability that is boxing and take a clear understanding that you're unqualified to speak in depth about performance enhancing drugs when it comes to combat sports, because there's been several fighters who tested dirty and they lost the fight. They didn't test dirty. They didn't take the test 6 months after the fight. We're talking about them taking the test the same amount of time that Ryan Garcia had, and they still went in there and lost. So PEDS is not proven to alter or influence a victory between two combatants. It's not. Now you ask yourself, WCS, why is this fight that's already passed by an issue? Because it's an area that's gray, where you have these confused, delusional fans out here trying to say that SNAC don't pertain to Devin Haney. I'm not speaking on any ill will on Devin because he did what he's supposed to do at 35-40. I'm speaking from a general perspective. And how can you all continue to speak ill and defamatory about Crawford beating Spence as a SNAC fighter and going through all these dang defamation and false accusations, but turn around when it comes to Devin fighting Brian Norman, you want to redirect this rhetoric and say that Norman is on some type of pass to basically put up a smoke screen about people talking about SNAC. Now all of a sudden SNAC is not an issue to some of these haters. And just to think, it must be tough for Team Haney to see all these bandwagon, these freaking roaches, these little scrounging freaking vermins try to go back around and become a Devin Haney fan when they was talking mad shit about him after the punishment he took against Ryan Garcia. Mad. But now all of a sudden, a newcomer is on deck that has the juice. Now, Bill doing with Bill, he's in these streets. He's in these YouTube streets. Now you have people clamoring. Bill, over here, Bill, I need some money, Bill, come on, Bill. Come on, me, sounding like goddamn Mork and Mindy and shit. They won't be able to come over there and give them some monetary donations. And these people not supporting Devin Haney genuinely. They're just jumping back on the bandwagon because Boots is not in there. If Boots was in the picture fighting Devin Haney, they would be on Boots. They would be talking so much crap about Devin, but now you have a fighter from the Dirty South. Now they're gonna say, well, at one point in time, when it's T.O. and Devin Haney, we was rooting for Devin Haney to get the fight against T.O. and stuff like that. They revisit it. They're up here trying to give fake attention, acting like they care. And they was talking ill about Devin after the performance with Ryan Garcia. They was talking crazy, yo. And then, the rigmarole goes back and forth, the seasons and the wind chill change, this, that, and the other. Dust come and go. People catching allergies and all that. And then all of a sudden, the fight is announced. Now, all of a sudden, they want Brian Norman to sign up for 2 weeks, and 2 weeks early to do the testing. If he don't do it, he cheating and all that. He signs up for it. And you bitch ass mothers sit up here and go quiet. They up here talking about if he don't sign up now, he's cheating. He's trying to hide somebody going on vacation. He signs up, and you whole ass media freaking cowards, you go quiet. You want to put a spot of ink on this man's freaking resume. You want to bend and fold his body of work and say it's been tainted by false accusations of him being dirty. But yet you don't want to talk consistently about SNAC because you don't pick the side. Now it's all about favoritism again. I mean, boxing fans, some of them can be absolutely retarded. They say Crawford is a snack connoisseur. They say Crawford go into the back room and Victor Conte gives him the special package. That's what they said. But yet Devin Haney's facing Norman Jr. They're trying to put the Ryan Garcia jacket on Brian Norman. It seems like prejudice to me. And look, I can't say it's non-blacks who's doing this. This is absolutely a mixture of individuals that's choosing to make these false accusations. And they don't care either. We got a fighter that hasn't popped dirty, but has been falsely accused of similar incidents because people have PTSD and they're sitting up here being bigots, liars, and they're spreading false information. They were so high on Brian Norman freaking signing up for freaking VADA 365. When he did it, these motherfuckers crawled back under the motherfucking woodshed. But check this out. This is an all-in-one jambalaya. Because for Crawford, right? Crawford's ticking down the days to go in there in September. And Canelo is part of the Dirty Seven. And these cowards refuse to talk about the Dirty Seven, especially if they media and they want to go up there and talk. Oh, man, they refuse to talk about the Dirty Seven. If you hear anybody else say the Dirty Seven, they got it from me. I know it. They refuse to talk about the Dirty Seven. But you know what they will talk about? Crawford being on SNAC. They will make all these finger pointing accusations and all this talk about Crawford being a dirty fighter, but yet they're not saying anything like that with Devin. The wild part about it is that Crawford and Devin is both black. That is the confusion and the retardation I'm speaking about when it comes to boxing fans. People always tell me, oh man, don't be a fan of the fighter, be a fan of the sport. Well, this is a perfect example how you have people that's not really a fan of the fighter. They just know they have the accessibility and freedom to wander about in this media game and talk shit. You know why I say they're not a fan of the boxer? It's because they just stab the fighter in the back whenever they feel like it. They don't really have no loyalty. Haney and them know that. Bill been around longer than anybody in these streets. Talking in these YouTube streets. Him or anybody knows that. If you pay really close attention, the ones who believe that they're closer than what they actually are, they're outside next to the doghouse chained up. You know what I'm saying? Every now and then, when freaking Team Haney want to throw some scraps out back, you know what? They go out there and throw it just enough so that motherfucker can get close to it and sniff it. And then after they up there drooling on themselves, oh man, that smells so good. That smells so good. I'm so hungry. They'll go out there and kick the motherfucking scraps over there so the dog can have it. That's how I feel about these channels who sitting up here believing that they're close enough and they're special. They're linked up. But yet they don't want to keep it real. We have two fighters on SNAC. You have a content creator that continuously talk about SNAC. All they want to do is talk about SNAC. But you can't break the code. Break the MFing code, man. Reduce the conflict. Who is in the wrong, Crawford or Devin? Because we already know Ryan Garcia was put up there. I'm going to put it out there right here, right now. If Brian Norman tests positive before and on fight day, all this is once again bullshit corruption. If Brian Norman tests positive anywhere in between his fight, the day, doing his fight camp all the way up, it's a setup. Because there's no way in hell you're going to convince me that the storyline is going to be second fighter test positive for performance enhancing drugs facing Devin Haney. Nope, not at all. And you know what? People think it's not far-fetched. People think that's something that I'm just speaking about. No, that's real life, bro. That's real life. You have to look at it that way. Ryan said, how did so-and-so know that I popped? And you ask somebody around here, well, how did his brother say what he said? Oh, he was just guessing. He was just guessing. Come on, bro. Come on, man. If Brian Norman tests positive and we go through the same sequence of them freaking fighting, getting a check, but somehow, some way, you want to talk about he's testing positive. It's a setup. It's bullshit. I'm gonna tell you right here and now, it's bullshit. Because no way in hell that nobody believes that these boxers that's experienced is at a point right now that they say, oh, I need to take something more. This is a dangerous, heavy hitting fighter. If I get knocked out cold like Miguel Berchelt did when freaking Oscar Valdez landed that left hand, hey man, come on, has he ever had a repeat? No, but we don't have a fighter that's going around doing that. There's no fighter currently in boxing that's going in there and getting these fighters up out of there in 2 or 3 rounds, but just by brute force. Stunning knockout power. Crushing. That's not there. But I am trying to get to the bottom with little negotiation. I'm trying to get to the bottom of this PED examination. How certain people only directing traffic however they feel like is beneficial to their favorite fighter. And it's not a favorite fighter that's, oh man, I've been watching them forever. No, it's their temporary favorite fighter. Right now, it's fun to be in the chats for these people to talk about, oh, Norman dirty. Because this is now a big fight. You have Crawford Canelo. Now you have Brian Norman, Devin Haney. No one has been provided documentation, evidence to say that this even should be a topic when it comes to Norman. But all of a sudden, when the fight is signed, you have a surplus of people insinuating if a grown-ass man doesn't adhere, he's talking about he's going on vacation, he's taking the time, a break. If a grown-ass man does not adhere to the demands of his opponent's team to sign up, they're going to duck the fight. They're going to duck out. This is wild. Because I was listening to these these media mice, and they was chirping out here saying that it's going to be a defining yes for me to say he's guilty. He's trying to hide some going over away on vacation if he don't sign 2 weeks ahead of time. And then you ask yourself, if they went and did paperwork and they had every opportunity in front of Turkey to make this fight official, why wasn't it spoken about then? You know, this finger pointing, this accusation is unacceptable. We have enough of that in boxing. But if you hit the playback game, answer me this: how can Crawford receive the criticism he did, but yet you all stay away from Devin Haney because you're scared of Bill showing up on your platform like the Candyman? Cowards. You're cowards. You cowards. You want to speak ill of Terrence Crawford, but you don't want to say nothing about Devin Haney being on SNAC. And Devin haven't gave you any indication that it's anything you should be concerned about. But it's just a fact of my comparison, right? I'm being a dual bilateral comparison of two fighters that's on SNAC right now, right? So therefore, one fighter has received malicious allegations of being dirty for being on a supplement from a man who was part of the most criminal freaking drug bust in professional sports history. Then how is that not bleeding over to Brian Norman's opponent? And then if Brian Norman is not signed up to SNAC, why would the American public choose to defame this man's name when you ask for the best to fight the best? You cowards don't want the best fighting the best. All you want to do is say who can argue better than the rest. I want to argue. I want to argue. I want to get disrespectful. I want to argue. I want to sit up there and push narratives. Why can't you be on board with the best fighting the best? Why would you sit up here and start coming up with malicious accusations on a fighter for being dirty when he's giving you no indication? There's no itinerary. There's no oops, we almost got you type of deal. He hasn't came back with an A and B sample and then all of a sudden it's proved to be contaminated. Not one. But y'all want to place the MF and jacket. You want to throw ink around besides signing the contract and be done with it and be satisfied. No, they want to sit up here and pick up stones. You know what I'm saying? They want to try to poke holes in an innocent situation. Devin's never popped dirty. Norman's never popped dirty. But now all of a sudden, we get two of the best elite fighters in the game. And these coward ass motherfuckers, man, they want to run with a damn performance enhancing drug, malicious accusation. They want to run with rumors. It's pathetic, man. Boxing has the worst fan base ever in combat sports. The worst. Because they're willing to have people that say they support the sport continue to make up malicious lies. There's no morality when it comes to boxing conversations, especially when it deals with agitprop. No one has any type of guilt. This type of behavior has been contagious for quite some time, y'all. For quite some time. And it's easy for certain individuals who are unqualified to be hardcore boxing fans, but they are highly qualified just to be long-standing bystanders, casuals, chat connoisseurs, just people that hang out, panhandlers that want to ear hustle and then go tell somebody else, this is what I heard on this chat right here. Yeah, that Norman guy, you know what I'm saying? It's something though, you know, something up with him. Yeah. His hair looked different than everybody else. Yeah, his hair. Yeah, something, you know. When he punched Jen Sasaki, I could have sworn I seen a knuckle print. That ain't normal. Didn't you see some knuckle prints on Ryan Garcia when he was punching Devin? I saw that on Normal when he was fighting Jen Sasaki. They start coming out with some serious shit. I ain't gonna lie, yo. This will forever be a conflict, man, because of how individuals have no reserve. You know what I'm saying? They don't care about what's truth and what's lies. They don't care. They don't care to backpedal. They don't care to tell the truth. And even if they're unwilling to, if they're not in possession of the truth, what they'll do is take it to a personal step. They'll try to start taking personal, you know what I'm saying, insulting jabs at you, start talking to get you off topic. They might even start to talk about their merchandise. Hey, man, you got me in the Dutch oven right now. It's hot up in here, but can I give you something in return? Can I give you a gift? Hey, man, I got some merch out here, man. I give you one shirt, man. You just let me up out of here, man, and let's talk. You know, I won't kick you off the panel no more. I won't mute you, but let me just give you one of my merch, my shirts, and then we can have a decent conversation. Yeah, they will sit up here and put some distractors up there for your ass. But getting back to Crawford Canelo, though. Him being a SNAC fighter, does it compare to a fighter who tested dirty and was suspended? Can y'all answer that? Or are you going to bob and weave? What do you want to answer or engage in that? Are you going to bob and weave? Look, I found out, you know, that some of these guys who wants to talk about Tank all the time, right? They want to talk about Crawford. They want to talk about Norman, right? All of them, when they're on panel doing lives, you know what they all have in common? Is when you go up there and you totally understand and you have clarity. You're confident within yourself in the language that you're using, the information that you are delegating out to them, right? Solid information. One thing all of them has in common, when you start making sense, they want to push that button and off you went. Yeah, you know it's true. When you start making sense, they want to push that button and off you went. They want to pretend like you left because it was getting too hot. The oldest trick in the book. These niggas that sit up here and do these live panels because we got some big fights coming up. They don't want to talk about Tank and whoever. They say that all the same thing. Tank ain't fought nobody. Tank ain't fought nobody. Tank ain't. That's all they do. They used to say that about Crawford till you went in there and dusted off Spence, right? Now they have some new names in the hat. And guess what? They're saying the same shit. They saying the same shit. They have picked their plus and they have picked their minus fighter. And with the minus fighter, they're gonna act like they can do no wrong. But the plus fighter, who they deem the underdog, they will come up here with all this propaganda and talk some bullshit. But then when it get down to Crawford's gonna continue to be the plus fighter. Even if the odds come out and have him as the minus fighter, Crawford's gonna always be the plus fighter until he goes in there and touch gloves and show them that he's always been that fighter. Norman, of all the fights that's weighing heavy on the horizon, I'm talking about heavy on the horizon. He goes in there and dusts off Haney. Clear, concisely, straight to the point. Oh my God. You're gonna think Mount Fuji erupted. You're gonna think you was on a cruise line and y'all ran into the storms and them waves was considered to be 150 to 200 feet high. Some people are gonna drown in misery, yo. No life rafts, no inner tubes. They're gonna drown in misery. They're gonna the shit I'm hearing about Norman, especially this damn pad shit. It's just individuals that's not comfortable with knowing if Devin Haney is the same fighter or could he be a better fighter stepping up with Norman. They're trying their best not to speak about him taking punishment. When they was going into the Jose Ramirez fight, they said, "Oh, we just want to see. It's been a year. We need to see if Devin's the same fighter." Okay, I want to be honest with you. This aches my soul. This aches my soul because that Garcia guy, he cheated, and just so happened, God damn it, you got a good, respectful, by the rule book champion and Devin Haney, who did everything you're supposed to do. But that Ryan dude attempted to cut corners and cheat the system, and he got busted. But my heart goes out because I don't know if that fight is the same or not. I don't know if it's the same. You know, they want to come up with 20 different storylines. He goes in there. He beats Jose Ramirez, no problem. Regardless of what people say, if it's interesting or not, he still beat him, right? Then it turns around where they know damn well that fight wasn't any test to see if Devin looked any different or back to his old ways after the Ryan Garcia clash, right? But now that Brian Norman is set to face him next, what's the first thing come up? Bill say they're trying to advocate for a clean sport. If you're advocating for a clean sport, why start up the conveyor belt and start producing bogus ass narratives? Why don't you just say August 1st is right around the corner? We haven't heard shit about anything being suspicious or nothing. It's July 25th. Of all the freaking accusations and malicious freaking propaganda that's been out here making its way through social media, we haven't heard anything from those people who was up there pushing Norman, trying to hide, he a cheater, this, that, and the other. They haven't heard shit. These motherfuckers that was up here massaging themselves with a fresh cortex, you haven't heard shit with it. You haven't heard nothing since he signed up for Valor 365. They really believe that they did something important, man. I'm talking about these content creators that was out there pushing the shit. They really believe they did something important. But the dilemma that they have is understanding clearly that when Devin goes into this fight with Norman Jr., that he's 100%, that there's no residual effects based off the Ryan Garcia fight. I can assure you that not many boxing fans, to include myself, felt that Jose Ramirez fight, the intensity level just consummated any doubt I may have had about Devin Haney and how he's supposed to look. I didn't really see enough action in there. He clearly won, but I just didn't see enough action. Okay? I didn't see enough action. That's all I'm saying. I did not see enough action to say that, okay, he looks like the Devin of old that stepped in there with Lomachenko. He looked like the Devin of old that stepped in there with Kambosos twice. I didn't see it. I saw a fighter that started and convinced Turkey Al-Sheikh, hey, the joke on you, Turk. You give me my money ahead of the fight, I'm going to go in there and goof off. And plus, it was supposedly a fight between him and Ryan Garcia if both fighters won, right? But guess what? Ryan Garcia didn't win. We know that. Ryan Garcia did not win the fight. But I do believe that Turkey learned something that night. Depending on who you talk to, they would say that performance by Devin Haney was mediocre because they was expecting more action. T.O. came in there and gave you action. Okay. Ryan Garcia and Rolly, they gave you some action. There was some it was some adversity in that fight with Ryan being dropped again, Luke Campbell, Gervonta Davis, Rolly Romero. You know what I'm saying? Those two had a sparring outing way back then. Now they finally stepped in the ring. And Rolly's a whole nother story. I'm not going to get into it. But they was trying to convince these other casuals that Ryan looked terribly bad because he was off of performance enhancing drugs. They clearly don't know how performance enhancing drugs, how you're supposed to observe. Like, let's just say you're unqualified. You're unqualified to speak on. I'm unqualified to speak on to a certain depth when it comes to medical, when it comes to science. I'm unqualified. But an understanding, the depth of understanding on what it's supposed to enhance has nothing to do with the psychological depletion of your opponent, knowing that a left hand, a left hook is coming towards them and they know not what they do. You're not going to convince me that goddamn all of a sudden performance enhancing drugs erases the memory of their opponents. But the speed. If Ostarine enhances the speed, y'all, of every fighter that took it, then why is there not more fighters on Ostarine? Why isn't the heavyweights on Ostarine? Why aren't fighters that's not touted for their speed or praised for their speed? Why aren't they on Ostarine? Why isn't there more fighters in history that have popped dirty for Ostarine? If it's the go-to. I mean, I'm talking about the go-to, end all be all, the one-stop shop. Grab it while you can. Ostarine. Why is other fighters not gravitating to Ostarine and coming up with these superpowers? Because it simply doesn't give you a superpower. Depending on who is talking about this specific situation, they will sit up here and exaggerate it as much as they possibly can to the point where it looked like stage 3 rigor mortis. They will bloat the shit out that motherfucking lie and tell you, I don't see anything that looks wrong with that narrative. It's a little bloated here and there. I smell some gas too, but I don't know if that's coming from my narrative. But yeah, stinks all to be damned. Damn, you know what I'm saying? I mean, they don't smell it, y'all. They'll just goddamn inject so much crap into these narratives just to prove a point. You have fighters like TJ Dillashaw, when he stepped in there with Henry Cejudo, he tested positive for EPO or something like that. I mean, I'm talking about the potent. I'm not talking about the oral. I'm talking about he tested positive for the shit you have to do intramuscular injections. And he still got knocked the fuck out. How? How can you be on performance enhancing drugs and step into a fight and you're supposed to be one of the best bantamweight fighters and you go in there against a flyweight? Because weight classes matter, right? He goes in there with a flyweight and he gets toasted. See, this is what I try to say about some of these guys. They can't really use cross-threading comparisons to prove their narratives because they simply hate mixed martial arts. You know what I'm saying? They simply hate mixed martial arts. But one thing we know in combat sports is what? There have been fighters who test positive for performance-enhancing drugs in both combat sports, in a lot of combat sports. Hold on, y'all. All right, man, we back. So, cheating allegations towards Crawford but not Haney. I stand firm on, the general public taking full advantage of this situation. Even though they're getting two quality fighters in there in both contests, we're talking about Crawford Canelo and we're talking about Brian Norman, Devin Haney. Two quality matchups, two quality championship fights. But yet, one of them has a fighter who just came out one of the most stunning, electrifying closing finishes at the T-Mobile Massacre, July 29, 2023. And then we have that same individual that's going in there with the fighter who has previously popped dirty. Not just him, but his 6 stablemates have popped dirty. Then we have to look at, if we're looking at B&B, which is Crawford's nesting egg, they are without positive tests, absent of criminality when it comes to cutting corners and violating the substance rules in boxing. They are without paperwork, but the fight fans choose to stay away from something that will credit Crawford to make him look any better. Same with Brian Norman, wherever he's training. I know it's Granite City Boxing Academy, the majority, but I know they be traveling and going on the road and everything like that, right? They have not been accused of fighters in their stable testing positive, right? When does good illuminates brighter than evil? When does it happen in boxing? When does this shit consistently happen to the point where we can start breathing a sigh of relief and say, now it seems like we have some decorum. Now it seems like we have some morals and principles. Now it seems like fight fans are taking it serious instead of turning into a rat's nest and turning into something that's full of vitriol, talking about lies and schemes and stories and all that shit. Crawford's B&B has never had those accusations hitting the heavy bag, speed bag, sparring, none of that. Those accusations have never been actively frequent B&B boxing gym. But if you look across from him, the Dirty Seven, they have. El Juicio, they have. But guess what? Fight fans are going to stay far and clear away from bringing up that. They're going to kiss Canelo's tush. They're going to kiss his left and right gluteus. That's what they're going to do. They're going to make a whole point to say, we want to stay on Crawford. And look, it's July right now. Just give it a little bit of time in August. They're going to see more and more Crawford in August, right? Just give it a little bit of time. And then they're going to say, oh, look at these pictures of Crawford. Just like, when he showed the picture when he was 186. How many different ways they ran with that? Oh, he's 186. It's not good weight. That's too quick. That's too quick for him to put on the weight. Oh, it don't matter if he put on the weight. It's different when he gets in the ring. Canelo's been acclimated to that weight class. So that weight is not going to carry in a healthy way. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to carry a healthy way. They're going to come up with all the criticism they possibly can. But one thing that needs to be excluded from the argument, being that you want the best to fight the best, stop falsely accusing, Crawford of being on SNAC and it's a performance enhancing drug if you're not going to do the same for Devin Haney. You have to keep it equal across the board if you're going to accuse a fighter that hasn't popped, but yet their affiliation with this particular supplement. You have to keep it true across the board, and for every fighter, regardless if they're your favorite fighter or unfavorable fighter, You got to hold the same standard. You can't just say this fighter is cheating and that's the way he looked, the way he did against this, and then turn around and don't say nothing about a fighter that's coming up. But yet you want to, point your finger across the ring and say, yeah, Brian Norman's that dude that he's popping. No, man, that's BS, man. That's why I say boxing fans the worst in the combat sports arena when it comes to media. Worst. The absolute worst. The absolute bottom of the freaking barrel. Not 100% of them. I'm saying the ones who understand that if it fits, you wear it. The ones who live off going on social media, spreading false information. Those are the ones I'm speaking about. Let's get to Jaron Ennis, because I think this essentially is important for us to know, right? And let me get to the chat right quick. I see Carlos on deck. What it do, man? AB on deck. OG Bruce Gas Boxing Jazz on deck, man. Blue Hustle on deck. What's good? Yeah, the SNAC attack, man. Yeah, the SNAC attack, man. I mean, why does it have to be in effect? Y'all say y'all want the best to fight the best. Why is it such a topic of discussion? I thought y'all wanted the best fighting the best. We have two heavy fights going down. Two heavy fights, yo. And they all want to talk about and make up these freaking false allegations, man, malicious intent. They don't want to talk about the fight. They say the same thing. If Devin catches him, Norman hasn't shown. I mean, come on, it's the same thing. They're unwilling to have like a perspective on one side A and a perspective on the other side B. I missed the last two shows. I made this one. Appreciate it. This is a fight card today. It's in the last ESPN. Oscarine wasn't around to 1998, and they only started testing for it in 2008. Hey, but the way they talk about it, right? All these unemployed life coaches turned qualified freaking scientists, right? They speak about it, Bruce Gas, as if they was back there upon the inception of the testing. They would say, you know what? I know I was born in 2013, but my relatives, my ancestors was back there, in 1998 when they caught this fighter. I mean, the population this fighter came from 300. We were shocked that he even tested positive for it, how he even got control of it, because, they only had a population of 300. You know what I'm saying, Bruce? They'll act like they was back there and during the inception of this particular performance enhancing drug. And they don't understand, like, when it comes to these, like track, these professional sports that places a supplement on the ban list, right? They recognized how they recognize it is from a fighter taking a test. If a fighter takes a test and something new pops up that they're questioning the levels, then they take it into discovery for investigative methods, reasons. They go and do research on it. Then they say, oh, we found out this to be too much of an enhancer that may provide them with an unfair advantage over their compeers. We put it on the ban list. They don't sit up here and they're not privy to every freaking, drug. Someone had to come up here and have a discrepancy or a finding in their test for them to be alarmed, and the red flag went up and they said, hey, we need to test for this. We need to test for this right here. It's not on the list. It's not on the list. But after they finish testing, they say, oh, yeah, this needs to go on the ban list ASAP. There's a card in the zone. I'm not familiar with the fighters, but it's on the 8. Okay, cool. Dan on the deck. Dan on deck, what they do, man. Tyrese on deck, what's good? Let me get to Jerron Ennis, man. Okay, let me get to Jerron Ennis. Y'all know the last time that I did is just kind of pissing people off because they feel like I'm being too tough on Jerron Ennis. Look, isn't people out there getting pre-approved for some loans, with a 578, man. Stop it. I didn't say that was his personal personal FICO score. I said it was his boxing FICO score. Okay? Pay attention. I didn't say it was his personal. He can't get approved to buy 3 pairs of jeans in a department store. I didn't say that. But Jerron, why don't we have, no matter of fact, let me just bring this up because there's no need for me to propose and ask the question in the air without showing the listeners what I'm talking about. So let me remove this thumbnail. And people, what you have in front of you for all you astute boxing, this is a 154-pound division. As you currently see, the champions from left to right does not consist of Jerron Ennis, okay? We know we're getting Xander Zayas and Jorge Perez on deck. Okay, tomorrow. They weighed in, it's official. Now, as you descend down the ranking ladder of 154 pounds, let's just say you was climbing down in a well just to see if there's anything down at the bottom that interests you. Maybe you can see a sparkle of this, that, you know what I'm saying? I don't see Jerron in his name in the rankings at 154 pounds like I see some fighters who are moving up. Oh, my fault. What is this you say? So let me go up to 168 pounds, okay? If you slide your pupils over there to the right, you will see this guy right here. And you perk up, right? But yet you're frown, you're gritting your teeth. You know what I'm saying? You're pulling on your ear for no reason. And you say, WCS, that has nothing to do with Ennis. It has a lot to do with Ennis. Because this guy, Crawford, held the WBO belt for quite some time, right? Then he had the WBO interim title when he moved up and faced. He moved up and faced the killer himself, Madrimov. He's able to climb the ladder up 2 divisions to 168, right? This guy, Jerron Ennis, was the unified IBF and WBA champion. And I don't see his name up here as of yet to challenge any of these guys. Even Alex Bray, who sits at the back end off the porch of the top 15, his feet is dangling. If he fall off, he'll be right in the yard, man, cutting the grass. That's how close he is to falling off the back porch. You even have Terrell Goucher, bro. But then you go down here, you still see Jerron Ennis at WBA. He said he was moving to 154. So if you look at the IBF, it's vacant. The IBF is vacant, y'all. The IBF is vacant. My biggest question to you all as to why Jerron has not enacted, enforced, insisted on moving up to 154 and facing one of these top-ranked oppositions. Why hasn't he done it yet? See, if we go to Jerron Ennis's resume, right? We know damn well when the last time he fought. Jerron Ennis' last fight was April 12th, 2025 against Stantionis. We know this. It's already, look. It's already July 25th, and we don't have Jerron Ennis on the schedule for a fight. What are all these names here for? You couldn't find anybody in the IBF or the WBA to fight? You don't want to. I mean, you got Karen up there. No, hell no. We don't want to see you fight Karen again. No. I mean, matter of fact, I'm in the wrong sanction body. These sanction bodies up here 154. You can't find a Sergey Boychuk. Huh? I mean, look at all these names, man. You don't want to fight Madrimov? Nah, people don't want to really see him on a 2-fight losing streak. I mean, who can we marry up to Jerron Ennis so that he can get an opponent? I wish Keith Thurman would be that guy, but I don't think he wants to fight Keith Thurman. But there's plenty of names in the ranking system that Jerron Ennis can fight at the top of the food chain. But like Turkey said, and you have people up here debating on whether he said tune-ups or tune-up. Either way, it's a bad look. Because EJ came off a rollover, very horrific accident, and said, I don't take tune-ups. But you all are comparing Jerron Ennis to that of greats. You're comparing him to be just as good as Crawford as a switch hitter. But you know where the problem comes into play? You know where the red flag, it waves the most, is when it comes to the mental blade. I heard somebody, and look, this is the crazy part about it. I was talking to one of my colleagues, Blue Hustle, the other day, and we was discussing some things, right? And I said, damn, you know, after I witnessed him become an arsonist over there in Artman's freaking chat on the panel, just educating the shit out of him. And look, after he was done with Artman should have paid him tuition for teaching him some shit instead of him trying to give him one of those shirts. Anyway, I'm just saying. But I was having a conversation, and this came up. You know, you had individuals on there that said they advocated for Brian Norman 18 weeks. And then you had somebody on there that says that, yes, he should have signed up for VADA testing. It's essential that he signs up for VADA testing. Then they went on to say, oh, Devin Haney's out here working, hard while Norman's on vacation, right? But then, lo and behold, y'all, no, you don't need to bring out the drums. We're going to save the drum beats for later. Lo and behold, y'all, when the African drums start to beat, individual said that boxing is 90% mental. Is that what he said? Mental? So if that's indeed the case, that bleeds over to Crawford and Boots. Because Boots is not showing that he has the psychological capacity to make these competent decisions that's efficacious to his career. He has shown that he falls short of that swim call. Boots cannot swim in 2 feet of water without believing he's drowning when it comes to boxing. Because this is a simple move for him. All you have to do as the IBF and the WBA is pick what sanction body and you can go in there and fight somebody. Dude said boxing is 90% mental. I know I'm scrambling eggs right now. 90% mental, but they're talking about Brian Norman should be in fight camp already. Jerron Ennis, right, just came off a fight in April, and he does not have an opponent. So this is an example why the mental shit, it does play a role in boxing. But it's all about how it affects the fighter's progress. How does it affect the fighter's progress? Are they somewhat afraid, or they just don't have the confidence? How does it affect? Because Terrence Crawford proves that, boxing does have a high mental, percentage, that a threshold that's different for every fighter. But Crawford makes it look so easy where people really don't, dive in trying to provide, a psychological analysis based off their observation of Crawford. They just don't attempt to do it because he haven't shown any type of vulnerabilities as Jerron Ennis has. Jerron Ennis, on the other hand, has basically put on display that he's unwilling to live up to the hype just yet. Not saying he can't, but he hasn't proven that he can live up to the hype? Why can't this man live up to the hype? Why is he turning down multiple fights? When he was at 147, he said, I'm going to step on him. I'm going to step on him. I'm going to step on him. It's over. It's over. Once I get this belt, I'm going to step on it. It's over. It's over. I'm going to step on him. I'm going to step on him. He kept talking about he was going to step on him. But the only person, two people that he was supposed to step on, he was able to give them more benefits than he was willing to give Norman. Black on black crime, baby. Live and living color. Black on black crime, goddammit. Black on black crime. Once again, black on black crime. So is boxing 90% mental? Because a fighter that's supposed to be a big name in the sport, not on the pound for pound list, but a fighter who's not even 1%, does that mean that boxing is 90% mental? Because if you go off that asinine piece of information, why have an 8-week training camp then? Why? If it's just 90% mental, why do you have to get in shape if you're going to say it's 10% physical? Everything that drives your body to go into fight camp and drop that weight and to remediate, come from your psychological headquarters, right? But we all know the psychological and neurological, or whatever you want to say up top, it's not the same for everybody. You have to also include a substation. That substation that fires everything up and help you get prepared mentally is heart. Because you can get started with mental game. But when you get to a point where that body starts to ache and you start feeling a certain way, and you know what, you feel this, that, and the other, however the case may be, that heart comes into play, man. That heart really starts to play a significant role in how you're progressing through this situation. I don't want to be the one that questions Jaron Ennis's heart. I don't. Because I just think that's disrespectful. But when he goes in there and shines, the way he put those combinations together, the way he frame it, the way he's slowing it up, speeding it up, is beautiful work. Beautiful work. But when you become inconsistent with productivity, and then you continue to show people how you can just let off and just get distracted and make the fight harder than what it's supposed to be, people going to look at you like, dude, what the hell is going on with this guy? Like, why don't he continue to just show out? When Jaron Ennis show out, he shows out, man. His work is just magnificent. But then he'll take a break and go over there and talk to goddamn JoJo in the crowd and showboat and get cracked a couple of times and then get back to work. It's believe me, it's messy, y'all. It's like trying to crochet with two pencils, bro. A real talk. My biggest Q to the A. I don't know if anybody can give me the A, but why doesn't he have a fight assigned? What's going on, man? Y'all have plenty of time to regroup, you know what I'm saying? Recover and revisit you and who your next opponent gonna be, bro. You was on such good time when Brian Norman stepped into the fight. Y'all made it perfectly punctual as hell. Just want to let y'all know I enjoyed my time at 147. I did a lot of great things. 2-time world champion. 2-time Karen. Avadesia. B. Stantionis. Due to unfortunate circumstances, I'm moving up to 154. I just can't make the weight no more. Even though I say I made it easily, I just can't make the weight no more. I want to be able to get up, be motivated, knowing I don't have to cut weight to 47. So I'm moving up 154. So he gave the announcement. And for what I heard, that news was out there in June, way before they actually announced it. That news that he was moving up was out in June. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that he has let the info out to the general public, why haven't we heard or seen anything else from Jerron Ennis? Can anybody explain that to me? It just doesn't make any sense as to why it's taking him so long in translation. Why don't you pick an opponent, man? You didn't look. We didn't think that Jerron Ennis had any type of injuries. We didn't see anything crazy go on during the Stantionis fight where you had an assailant, you know what I'm saying, come up there and slap Jerron Ennis when he was in between round with a Philly cheesesteak. We didn't see any of that. We didn't see Jerron Ennis wiping hot provolone cheese off his face and then eating some of the freaking extra steak that was dripping. No, we didn't see none of that. We didn't see him take off his mouthpiece and say, "Now I got to get that meat with that bread right there. That shit look too good. We can't let this go to waste." How much time we got? You're still in the fight, man. We got 20 seconds. All right, cool, man. Hey, I'm gonna spit my mouthpiece out when it's time to go. I'm gonna spit it out, and that's gonna buy some more time. But this Philly cheesesteak, good. We did not see that, y'all. We didn't see it. We didn't see anything crazy to say that Jerron Ennis is basically apprehensive for these reasons. We didn't see it. I'm gonna be honest with you. We didn't see any of such. I sent a search and rescue team out there in Philly. I said, please bring me back any information that provide us with those blinking indicators, just like hazard lights in the snow time. Just provide us with any information to come to a conclusion as to why Jerron Ennis does not have an opponent scheduled in 2025. We're talking about all these other fights going on, and the Phenom is not on deck. The Phenom is not on deck. How is that the case? How? Hey, Carlos, he came off the WBO interim. He still is the WBA titleist, world titleist. I mean, world champion. Yeah. Boots wants tune up. Bud has moved up 4 times. Each time it was for a strap. Hey, man. Hey, some of that public information, when you rehash it, people don't like that. I'm just letting you know, Tyrese, in case you know what I'm saying? It's Fridays, in case you head into the crib and somebody cut you off. I'm just saying, yo. They don't like hearing information that makes sense. 140 vacant, Delorme, 147 WBO Horn, 154 Madrimov, 168 Undisputed. Man, hey, playback game, you see it. You see it, Crawford different. See, when it comes to the mental blade, yeah, the sharpest that I see right now, yeah, Crawford, when he makes those decisions. But the reason why I hold Boots to a certain standard is because him and their team was just going in on Crawford, man. Somebody, he dropped out of the negotiation with EJ and this, that, and the other. They was talking crazy, bro. They would say, I'll be sneezing, avocado. And then when he knocked him out, he said he was supposed to do that. Okay, all right. But we expect Boots to what? Move up and have an opponent lined up. It's looking like right now that Boots' FICO score in the next couple of months might be down in the mid 5s, 550s. I'm serious. It might be mid 550, y'all. Boots has to have a showcase fight, in my opinion, to get his brand jumping again. Maybe he needs some people that are in close proximity because, look, why is him doing this thing? I'm not talking about him. But other people that's in the close proximity, maybe they need to go up there and have a conversation, a heart-to-heart. You know what I'm saying? With Bozy and somebody, man. They need to have a heart-to-heart to try to figure out what is the holdup. If Turkey was saying you need tune-ups, why though? I mean, you went in there and dusted Stantionis, man. Lewis Crocker and Patty Donovan for the IBF welterweight title is a joke. Hey, man, the OG has spoken. You know what I'm saying? The OG has spoken. Why is he speaking like that? Let me go over there, man. Let me go over there. Because look, how easy does it get? You know, Tyrese just said, you know, gave the whole passport. You know what I'm saying? Gave the boxing passport of Crawford when he is basically transported from one division to the next. And then here you go, Bruce is putting out there about the ranking systems. I didn't know that, but I need to go back and check. I definitely need to go back and check. Let me see about this Donovan. Okay, so Bruce, you said Louis Crocker and Patty Dunn IBF welterweight title. Okay, so let me see. Okay, IBF. Damn. Wow. The 147 pounds does not consist of Blair the Flair Cobbs, a Nicholas Flies getting a shot at the IBF. Where in the hell is Blair Cobbs while I'm on this goddamn treasure hunt? Isn't he a 147 pounder? How can somebody ran out of money? I don't see it, man. My eyes deceiving me. Is it me, y'all, or did Blair Cobbs move up to 154 pounds? Because I do not see him. Let me see if he up here. He didn't even get the shot. We got Lewis Crocker and Patty Donovan when we could have very well had Brian Norman fight for somebody for the vacant. That would have been good. Now I'm curious to know the state of affairs when it comes to the 147 pound in the upcoming months. I'm very, very curious, yo. I'm curious with, you know, optimism, though. Yeah, I'm curious with optimism. This doesn't look well. Like, all the champions have belts besides the vacant IBF. And then Jerron Ennis, he should be coming off that belt to the point where Mr. Magic Man himself, Rolando Romero, is right there to scoop up that title. Boy, if y'all don't think Rolando Romero has some type of halo, well, I don't know if Rolando Romero is somewhat like Yoda, but this dude is the only boxer I know that have somewhat emulated being in that position at 140 and being in even a better position of 147. The only difference is that he's coming off a win of Ryan Garcia for this 147. Vice coming off a loss with Tank Davis being inserted into that position at 140. Unbelievable. But thanks for that information, OG. You know what I'm saying? We have the one and only Lewis Crocker and Patty Donovan fighting for the IBF World Scrap. Wow. That is great to know. The 147 pound division is about to blow up. Yeah. Just like a Roman candle. Boots waiting on the smoke to clear at 154, just like he did at 147. Two tune-ups would take a year. Yeah. It will take a year the way he's doing. You're right. Shout out to my guy, man. Rob Partner TV in the building. Y'all definitely go subscribe, man. Fine guy. Man, hey, I'll be checking out your content, man. The best barber in the game. You know what I'm saying? If y'all over there, the best barber in the game, man. Hit him up on IG. I don't know what his prices are right now since he be cutting celebrities and going to personal exclusive freaking appointments, man. But yeah, that's the best barber in the game right there, man. Check him out. Raw Partner. Real talk. At one point in time, I had access to him, man, before he moved out the A. Hey, before you moved out there, hey man, god damn. I said I can't get the crispy, I can't get the black and crispy no more, man. Boost versus some dude they picked out of the crowd. You're right. Hey, Carlos, maybe somebody that worked at the concession that they seen shadow boxing, Carlos. You don't think that's maybe something that's relevant? He's seen somebody shadow boxing in the concession, making sure the hot dogs was turned and everything, flipped real nice. Make sure the hamburgers didn't overcook. Yeah. Boost Duck Norman, in my opinion. I had to put that up for playback game because the absence of accountability is very, very active, especially on the YouTube streets. Very, very active, man. And look, Blue, I don't think they actually learn a lesson from being that way. You got some people on here that cover boxing with poor behavior. I'm not gonna lie, very poor behavior, and they don't want to do better for themselves. It's certain people that come on to a conversation just to start crap. And then, like I said, the haters ain't going nowhere, man. You know how they get. Boost asked for 2 tune-ups, man. Why isn't he scheduled? If we have Donovan, right, and Crocker, why we don't have an Ennis? Somebody tell me that. Why don't we have an Ennis? If we got a Donovan and a Crocker at 47, why we don't have an Ennis at 54? Can somebody please explain that? That's all I want to know. Rolly always fall up with never back, right? That's a good one, man. That's a good one. That's a good one. He said Rolly always fall upward. That's a good one. You're right, man. Rolly does fall upwards, don't he? God damn, boy. Hey, when Rolly falls upward, bro, there's always something to catch him. And I know with Rolly, I don't think he even sees whoever's catching them. Them angels are so soft-handed. They just catch Rolly, stand him up. It's really nothing being said. It's just a spiritual thing. I wonder how Rolly's itinerary look outside of the other boxers who's going out here trying to promote their fights and all that. Oh, Rolly go out there and say some dumb shit and get people to laugh. Rolly, you're so hilarious. You make me chuckle every time. And get out of here, bro. Rolly's a nice dude, though. I'm not gonna lie. Rolly's a nice dude, man. I said it before. Rolly's a nice dude. Shout out to Bill's Boot Camp in the building. What's good? What's good? Bill, I had to disrupt that panel with a little bit of logic. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think those individuals was somewhat, clueless on some things, just like when it comes to certain twists and turns on what I was talking about on this live, with the allegation, and then why Ennis doesn't have a freaking opponent lined up on the schedule. I just don't understand how you can be that elite, a unified champion, and you just basically starting over. It's almost like you're starting over. If Virgil Ortiz is right there, and people are like, hey, that's Virgil now. That's legitimate, certified, official. Why don't you want to fight him, man? Come on. Why don't you want to fight him? Period. That's what we want to see. I like Virgil's style. I like his aggression. He can absolutely box. He can absolutely fight if he want to. He showed he definitely has that dog in that heart because he's been on the canvas and got back up. Hey, man, I like everything about him to match up with Ennis, who can do just the same. Except we haven't seen Ennis in no controversy getting off the canvas, but that doesn't mean, I don't know, man. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Don't take this the wrong way, y'all. When I overthink Jerron Ennis, it kind of gives me Oliver McCall moments. I'm in my mind, like I think of him breaking down sometime and just saying, giving me the Jared Anderson on the documentary with Roy Jones. You know what I'm saying? I think I'm gonna get some of that. I think I'm gonna get some Oliver McCall. Just stop fighting and say, no, man, I'm done. No, man. He's starting to beat my ass, man. He's starting to beat my ass. I'm out, man. I'm retiring. I like to say, Philly, stand up. We still got the Super Bowl, shawty. You know what I'm saying? I'm done. I'm done. You know, he gave me a little bit of that, man. Remember, I said that he's given me a little bit of that potential that he has to be give me the Oliver McCall moment or the Jared Anderson moment. I'm not trying to give you any ideas when this conversation presents itself. I'm just saying that he kind of gives me a fighter who loses focus or may not be fully invested on challenging himself moving up. Jaron Ennis may feel just fine with trying to get the 40-0 off soft touches. I don't know, man. Like Jaron Ennis could be making some big time money right now if he'll just challenge a freaking Murtazalayev. If he just start putting people's name in his mouth, man. If he was calling out Jermell Charlo. If he was calling out Sebastian Fundora, yo. Call out some people that, give it that Scooby-Doo. Shaggy? I mean, he's not doing that. He's just around like, give us some of those names, man. We don't want to hear Crawford, bro. We don't want to hear no freaking Crawford. We don't want to hear none of that. But give us some names. You know what I'm saying? Really. Give us some names like, Sebastian Fundora, yes, that'd be a tough fight. Murtazalayev. Erickson Lubin, from what I hear, he may be up next for Murtazalayev. See how that plays out. A common opponent of Crawford and Virgil Ortiz, two opponents that Boots didn't want to fight. I mean, I wouldn't mind it. He fought freaking keep on mentioning this shit. You know what I'm saying? Damn. Made me lose my train of thought, man. Thomas Delorme is who I was thinking about. He fought Thomas Delorme coming off 2 losses. So what is going? It wouldn't be no problem if he did the same thing. You know what I'm saying? If he fought Thomas Delorme, fighting Madrimov coming off 2 losses, it'll only help his Christmas tree, man. Go in there and let's see how you do against Madrimov. He's coming off 2 straight losses, man. Boots, call out Jermell Charlo, Madrimov. You know what I'm saying? Call out who else is up there? Murtazalayev after he get off his fight with Erickson Lubin. Sebastian Fundora, Virgil Ortiz, Jesus Ramos. Hell, go in there with Tim Tszyu, man. I don't know about that. No, I'll take that back. No Tim Tszyu. He might not make it to the fight. Now, this is what I just ran into right here at 54. Jaron Ennis, this is what I overlooked earlier. Okay? I'm glad I went back to it. Jaron Ennis is over here at the WBO. Imagine that. He's the WBA and the IBF champion. Thanks to the Boxing Angels who guided me over there. Jaron Ennis is ranked in the WBO. Okay? Now, the wild part about this is that they ranked him in front of Sergey Boychuk and Erickson Lubin. How in the hell? Well, maybe there was an invisible title because I could have sworn he had a WBA and not the WBO. But this was the same freaking sanctioning body he was in at 47 before he jumped over the IBF prior to July 2019 T-Mobile massacre. But he's in the rankings and the WBO. My next question is, Brian Norman is the WBO champion at 147. So therefore, I would definitely go out here and have a dialogue with one of my colleagues or one of my contacts as to how this can potentially happen with the sanctioning bodies. Okay. How can Jaron Ennis be placed number 4 in the WBO, which I look at as being one of the easiest. Why did they choose or select the WBO? Hey, people that's tuned in, this is something that you all need to have a live stream on. Why did Jaron Ennis select the easiest, one of the easiest sanctioned bodies, leaving the 147-pound division? Why, if he's in that division, does he need tune-ups? Is he going to wait and get the winner of Zayas Garcia Perez? Is that it? Is he going to fight Josh Kelly? I'm just curious. I would have liked to see Erickson Lubin fight Jaron Ennis, but if Erickson is on deck to fight Murtis Alayev, I'm checking the box. He jumped Keith Thurman. He was number 8. Keith Thurman is number 8 right here. He jumped Jesus Ramos, Sergey Boychuk. He's not even a WBO champion. So there are some affiliation. Those of you that's crying about, TKO and Zupa Boxing coming over here and y'all saying, oh, it sucks. Okay, help me understand this Scrabble board right here. Help people understand how this works. Help us understand how you can move up into a ranking if you did not hold that title at the lower division for which you're transitioning from. How can you jump the line? What is the criteria that they're using to make this decision? Was there a toll that Team Ennis had to pay to cross the bridge? For real, what was the toll? There had to be a toll. Why is the WBO entertaining this? And Boots Ennis has not been a WBO champion. Brian Norman is the WBO champion. So why is this the case? Because there has to be some type of internal agreement. Because when he was flowing up through the rankings, right, in the WBO 147, I did a live stream on it. I only did a live stream on Boots when it comes to how he moved through the rankings because it kind of alarmed me. I was alarmed when he moved up the rankings in 147. Now he's did the exact same thing at 154 pounds without even having a single fight. At least he was fighting at 147, but at 54, he is now transitioning into the top 5. Y'all hear me? Jaron Ennis is transitioning into the top 5 at the WBO right here. Right here, y'all. He's number 4 behind Josh Kelly. I definitely need to do some decoding. I need to absolutely decipher what criteria was used and see if it's possibly, am I able to get it done, or I have to go to an undisclosed location out of Area 51 and request a freaking special clearance to see does it have something to do with extraterrestrial, unidentified ranking scrolls, top secret information. I want to know, yo. I want to know, because this is kind of crazy. Boots, who is not the current nor the reigning or former WBO welterweight champion, has moved in the top 5. Outside, let me check once again. Outside of the WBO, let me see if Jaron Ennis is over here. I don't see him over there in the WBA. Okay. What about the IBF that he vacated? It'd be stupid for him to be over there, but I don't see Jaron Ennis over here at the IBF, but he is in the WBO. Let me see what you all have to say about that. Boots gonna fight Jeff Horn. What up, Squad Jones? How you feeling, bro? I thought this was a replay at first with the thumbnail, but no, it's live. Hey, man, I'm not cooking, Boots. I'm just trying to find out some information, man. I don't want to have to pay an attorney to do a discovery. Look, I'm doing everything possible to try to find out if Boots has plans, if the tune-up is just an exaggeration of Turkey al-Sheikh. I'm just trying to find out. That's all. That's all. If Boots don't fight, I'm trying to find by any means necessary a way for him to increase his boxing fight goals because it's down in the 5s, bro. If Boots don't fight Virgil, then he's going to fight to make a statement in 154. Yeah. Then who he gonna fight? Yeah, good question. I don't know. That's what we're trying to find out. I don't want to come off as having selective outrage. But anybody, somebody, come and drop in the DMs and let me know the process on how this works. He's not, or nor was he, a WBO champion at the welterweight division, but he's in the top 5. And also, we are very curious as to why he hasn't scheduled a fight yet. Is he waiting on the winner of Zayas Garcia? Is he? Is he going to try to do like a tune-up? Like, is he going to fight a Josh Kelly, or he's going to fight somebody in the bottom half of the top 15? From Boots' latest actions, I don't even think Boots wants Jamel, even with the layoff. Boots, I'm scratching my head, man. Yeah, I mentioned that earlier about him. He's not even calling out Jamel Charlo. Jamel Charlo and Boots Ennis, absolutely. That would set it off. Absolutely. Boots is making it hard for me to understand his moves, and he should just fight Ortiz, but move up and fight a champion. I agree with you, bro. No disagreement over here, no kickback, no resistance. It's just trying to figure out what's on this man's mind. I have no idea. Hold on, y'all. I can dig it, WCS. I ain't mad at it. Entertainment for sure. Yeah, it's entertainment, but the expectations that we have for Boots to give us something, then I think that's the issue. Like Boots is one of those names where when he has a fight coming up, everybody want to act like they've been talking about him during the entire hiatus. He's been no impact, no idea. And then he'll build him up and then say the same thing, go out there and fight and then go back into seclusion. He's not a bad guy. I'm not dogging Boots out anything, but it's a reason why I'm basically, doing live streams on your boxing FICO, because it's extremely low with absence of consistency. And then, you did make a move to the WBO, but I'm just curious why the WBO. That is one of the only sanctioned bodies with a vacant title, and you finally have Xander Zayas, and Garcia fighting for it. It's almost like the easy route. It's just like the easy route. I'm not saying Xander Zayas is easy, but it just looks like the easy route to me. I think Jorge Perez would be a tough fight for Boots. For real. I think he'll be a tough fight. He's a tall fighter, rangy. Yeah. Josh Kelly, he's right there. I don't know, man. These divisions that we thought that was going to come together and give us some thunder with some lightning, they're not. They're not 35, not 40. We still waiting to see if anything going to happen. We're getting fights from the champion, so to speak, if it's not the WBO. Then 47. What's going on with that? What's going on with 47? We're waiting. It just seems like none of the champions are lined up to fight each other yet. Now that Boots has vacated one of the titles, we have Crocker and Donovan fighting for it. When is Boots gonna come off the WBA so Rolly can pick that up? And if Rolly gonna go over there and fight freaking Barrios, or he's gonna say, okay, let me go out here and show the people. I hope the Normans get the Rolly fight. I hope they're the unify. And then at 54, we already know what's going on up there. We just had Sebastian Fundora fight, so he's out the picture. The next with Mertzes Layev and Erickson Lubin, and tomorrow Xander Zayas, Jorge Perez. That's 54. 160. We already know what that. We're gonna Jana back, Adamis going back and forth on who really want to fight. Turkey was saying that Adamis was making it difficult and all that. Arislandy Laura continued to age, but he don't age. You know what I'm saying? He's aging backwards, not forward, like Tyrese said. Hey, you know what I'm saying? Hey. But yeah, that's wild. But yeah, we'll definitely do it tomorrow, man. Shout out to the hottest chat in the MF and game. A-Side official. Appreciate everyone who support the channel every day, all day. You know what I'm saying? You'll know who you are. Continue to support. Until next time, I'm out.